I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7 p.m. Bruce, if you can help with the roll call.
Okay. Richard Berlandi. David Fox.
Here.
Robert Eisner.
Here.
Neil Kelsey.
I'm here.
Mark Simpson.
I'm present.
And Ned Stachin.
Here.
All right, gentlemen. Just a little summation. Item number one, the applicant is still working with their engineer, so we have not received any plans yet. So we'll just table that till next meeting. Okay.
So tabled.
Next item is winding trails, and the applicant is here. Scott, can you hear us?
Scott, you may be, oh, there you go.
I'm unmuted. So you got Brian Cunningham and Scott Brown from Winding Trails here.
Oh, we got the team all in the same spot. There you go.
Oh, yeah, same team, yep.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
right.
Scott or Brian, you can go ahead and over, or Bruce, were they going to start or were you going to start?
No, it's all their show. Go ahead, guys.
I got no internet, so.
Okay, all right.
You're on.
Okay, so the problem that we're having is with Poplar Swamp Brook, which if you're familiar with Winding Trails, it is the small brook that runs along Winding Trails Drive. It basically outflows from Walton Pond, runs down through a wetlands, thank you, Bruce, and then comes along the road and dumps out just into a small pond that is owned by Devonwood, just north of our office. And with all the heavy historic rains we had last year, we're finding that we've gotten a couple of problems where the flows have been so heavy that they have created a couple of spots where the road, the bank has eroded to within 26 inches of the road. So we are before you to propose a couple of things. Thank you, Bruce. The two spots are highlighted in red on the map. You can see from the photos there what they look like. What we're finding is a lot of the flow is being forced to the roadside because of briars and bushes and things that are building up on the eastern side of the brook, and then forcing that water flow to the western side where the road is. We had a similar problem years ago that we actually fixed, and if you pan down a little, Bruce, you'll see that last picture on the right shows the riprap that we put in a few years back. Came in with some topsoil and some grass, and that portion of the brook is held up well. This is north of that, and we've got two sections. They total somewhere around 100 feet between the two of them. And we're just concerned with spring coming that, you know, we'll get further erosion and may lose our road. So I know typically we, you know, you guys like to do work within waterways in the dry season in August or September, but we'd at least like to get in and do some remediation now. Before, as I said, we get any heavy spring rains. So there is a proposed solution on there. We're talking about putting riprap in about 100 feet of that brook stream bank, and then placing some soil socks with some seed plantings, topsoil seed, and hopefully that will take care of it. And we'd also like to trim the eastern side when we get a chance, cut down some of those briars and prickers and whatnot, to allow better flow of the stream on that side of the stream bed. We do not also have any thought on digging or getting into the stream bed. This would all be just on the stream bank.
This is Brian Cunningham speaking now. The Poplar Swamp Brook water course is got a very sandy type bottom. That's why we don't want to mess with the bottom of the brook at all, and just repair the eroded section of the embankment on the roadway side. Now we'll over excavate maybe a foot, and then put some good size riprap in, build up a side embankment wall, and then put some, as Scott was saying, the sand socks and backfill and topsoil and get some grass growing up on top of the embankment. Being that it's a very narrow, doesn't really afford us the opportunity to do any major landscaping at the top between the road and the edge of the brook, just because in this particular area, we're very limited to horizontal space coming off the road.
And depending on the year, I mean, we've had some years where this stream has been completely dry. Obviously not in the last 18 months or so with as much rain as we've been having, but back 4 or 5 years ago when it was a drought, it was completely dried up. But with these heavy rains, this is the wettest winter on record. We've had much higher flows than normal. Any
Okay,
questions?
Scott and Brian, does that wrap up your overview?
I think so.
Great, thank you, gentlemen. I'll go around and see if there are any questions from the commission. I just want to point out for the commission members that in the briefing notes that Bruce sent through, they posed the question as to whether the work could occur under the residential something.
That the uses are incidental to
Yeah,
maintenance of residential property.
Yeah, no, I think we just lost his Wi-Fi. Robert just froze on us. Give him a minute.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
he is frozen.
While we're waiting, Scott, just to confirm, I think in your application, I'm not sure if you addressed this during the presentation, but you had mentioned you're doing about 100 feet of the, you're doing 2 areas, 70 feet and 30 feet for 30 linear feet of area. And then I think you're doing about 1,000 feet of the removal of the invasive species, cutting back some of the growth. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I failed to mention that 1,000 feet, but yes, that would take us through the bulk of that stream bank on the eastern side.
yeah, we're not excavating on the opposite side of the brook. We're just clearing the overgrowth.
So you're gonna cut the overgrowth and then is that all you're doing, or is that just kind of help them figure or explain what you're gonna do once you cut that overgrowth?
The plan is to cut the overgrowth and remove the material.
Yep.
Then we'll run it through a chipper and mulch that material and all. Mix it with other material we've got.
I would suggest you not do that. The only reason is because not knowing what that is, but if that's a lot of invasives, if you're gonna chip that and mix it in and put it somewhere else, you're just gonna move that invasive material somewhere else. It's gonna procreate somewhere else. So,
Excellent point, Bruce. Thank you. I'm sure we can arrange to
We'll dispose of it,
in a
yeah.
proper
Yeah.
manner.
So once you cut that, there's no reason to stabilize that embankment, right? You're all gonna do it by hand, so all the stabilization, I think you talked about the planting is gonna be on the roadside. Is
Correct.
that correct? Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, we'll leave we're not removing the root base of the material we're trimming on the other side of the brook. We'll just have to annually maintain that surface and don't let it get as overgrown as it has become.
All right, so it'll be just trim on the far side, and then on the road side, you'll put the riprap. And
Correct.
if you don't have the riprap, you'll do the topsoil and seeding on this side, is what you're saying, right?
Correct.
Perfect. I think we have Robert Eisner back.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
No
I guess I
problem.
lost my connectivity.
Oh, there we go.
Okay,
all yours.
Bruce, was it just you that had questions or comments, or did we start going
Yeah, no,
around
we
to
were
the
just
other
waiting,
commissioners?
while we were waiting for you, I just had them highlight a little bit, because the application calls for 1,000 feet of trimming. So I asked them
Okay.
just to elaborate on that while we were waiting, so.
Okay. So we'll go around, Rich, we usually go alphabetically. So Rich, any questions or comments?
Rich is,
That's right. Rich is not here
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah.
So we're gonna go with Dave. We're gonna go with Dave first.
Yeah, you had mentioned you wanted to get this done before the spring rains. Is that,
Yeah, David, the concern is that if we get another heavy rain, we'll get more erosion. So at the very least, we'd like to get the riprap in. It's really not growing season yet, but at least if we could stabilize the bank somewhat in those two areas with this riprap, it may avoid future, damage to any high flows.
so just the riprap early then? I was just concerned about throwing out some dirt and not having anything grow on it before the spring rains.
Yeah, I think just initially we can get the rock in there and then we get to the growing season in early spring, we can put the topsoil and seed and any plantings.
Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Neil, any questions or comments?
Just Scott and Brian, when we did have the heavy rains, how tall or how deep did this get? How close to the roadway?
Oh, it was probably running about 12 inches, 12, 15 inches deep. And we've got there's probably the road's another, I want to say 15, 18 inches above that.
Okay. And did it have a pretty good flow to it too?
Actually, the velocities aren't that bad. In some of the areas where that brush has come up, the flow's quicker because the stream channel's narrow. But for the most part, the stream channel is probably in the order of 4 feet wide. But what happened was all the leaves were getting intertwined with the stalks of I don't know, there's prickers, I know that in there, but the leaves kind of block the flow of water and that raised the water surface level and increased the velocity in that narrowed section. So by relieving the restriction that that overgrowth causes, we feel that will maintain lower levels of water and maintain the flows at lower velocities and all. So I think it's, in the long run, it's a better solution for us for protecting the road. And I might add that the whole of that Poplar Swamp Brook
Thanks
is.
for that and for the explanation.
Okay.
Okay,
Neil, is that it?
yeah, nothing further from me, Rob. Yeah.
Okay. Mark, any questions or comments?
The only question I have for you, on the eastern bank, you're gonna remove the bases and everything else. How are you gonna remove it from the eastern bank, or would anybody be in the stream trying to remove it, or is it all from the bank?
No, you can.
Yeah, we can access that from the bank. In fact, there's a trail now that runs on the other side of that stream for most of that distance, so it won't be an easy job, but we can get in there, and if we start down by, one end, we can kind of bite at it and work our way across to get that out, but no, we shouldn't need to be in the stream.
Yeah, my only question was how you were gonna handle removal and everything else. I was also concerned that, as you said, you're gonna leave the ball of any plant there to, I would assume, to solidify the embankment so it doesn't deteriorate any further, but that's my only question. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Mark. Ned, any questions or comments?
Yeah, so, on the roadway side, you're gonna put riprap in there? Is it gonna be like graded or is it just standard riprap,
No, not standard, more on the lines of like an intermediate.
modified? Yeah,
Yeah, modified, maybe a little bigger on the lower side of intermediate.
yeah,
We got a pile on the property now. You wanted to swing by and take a look at it. It's, it's the 6 inch or so max
yeah,
size rocks. The plan is just to keep the repair in those two areas, a 70-foot long and a 30-foot long area.
yeah,
So we're not looking to redo the whole brook, only the one side. of the channel section.
Yeah.
And, just to stabilize it and then protect the road.
So, and then, so you're gonna put the modified riprap in now, and then, as soon as you get to near the start of the growing season, put in some smaller stone and soil, and then some seeded some grass to get it trying to grow up and hold it all together.
Yeah, I think when we were talking about, putting some sand socks in to the stream embankment within the riprap now, when the riprap's placed.
Yeah.
To make it easier to put the root sections in.
Yeah. It'll,
To get
it'll,
some,
it'll
to
help
get some
hold,
growth in the rock.
yeah, that'll also help hold the riprap in place on the slope until it kind of settles in and
Correct.
gets more grain, so that's a good idea. And then, like, are there, on the other side, are there a lot of invasives on there, or is it, I don't know, I guess maybe to Bruce, is it, I mean, when people do clearing like this, do they keep the invasives separate from the natural or vegetation, or is it just too hard to mix them up and just, you gotta pull it all out and either burn it or whatever you're gonna do to,
Yeah, it all depends. I mean, like I said, yes, if there is like if it's like bittersweet and you can go in there and systematically pull it out piece by, find where the main root is, that's fine. But a lot of this stuff is very fine. So maybe trying to go through there, trying to pick out what's invasive, what not is probably not
Yeah.
a good idea. I mean, that's number one. Number two, when they do remove it, yes, it should be moved off site because you definitely don't want to move this somewhere else on the property because it
Right.
could spread. But number three, I mean, it should be looking toward long term and, if these do come back and they will, they should be keeping in mind ahead of time of maybe planting something more appropriate for there that'll kind of hold back and outtake
Yeah,
the invasives.
that was my comment. I was like, um, if they clear it out too much, then you might have some erosion problems on that side. And then, but I think, along with the clearing out, maybe some plantings, or, I mean, it's gonna be planting season in another month, so, if they could, not too far after they clear it out, maybe put some plantings in there that of, natural vegetation that is normal to this area and try and hold back the invasives is, that way.
Yeah, more
But-
native type.
Yeah,
type
more
plants.
native. So,
Yeah,
because if you clean it out too much, then you're gonna be suspect to, or subject to erosion on that side. But
no, I
so,
think
but
our intent is just to cut from the ground up
yep,
and leave the root structure in there holding the
yeah,
sides. And it's not a long or wide expanse. It's just 1,000 foot long, but it's
Yeah.
probably less than 10 feet wide
Yeah.
of width that we're talking about clearing, just a
Yeah.
stream bed. We're not, going all up into the woods and all that, just to chase the
Yeah.
stuff. It's just,
all right, yeah, but I mean, you gotta use caution. I mean, I remember my son and I catching frogs in there after he'd get bored with fishing. We'd go over there and like catch frogs or turtles or whatever we found in that. So it is, there is some wildlife in that little stream.
yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Ned. So I think the big question we have is whether we think it's an exempt activity as routine maintenance, or if it's beyond that, and if so, we should accept it as an application. I would think that the scope of the work goes beyond routine maintenance, and I also think it's beyond the residential exemption, so we should accept it as an application.
I could go either way on it. It is a significant amount of work, but I mean, they're doing most of it with, I'd imagine, hand pulling and placing the riprap with smaller, wheelbarrows and whatnot. So I think it's a required maintenance based on the safety of the roadway. So, the maintenance is required. But it is, it's a good length of like 1,000 feet. That's significant, so I could go either way on it.
Dave Fox, any thoughts or opinions on whether it's an exempt or regulated activity?
Just looking at the language of the regs, this is not residential property and it's not smaller than 80,000 square feet. So it doesn't seem to qualify.
It's, just to interject, it is zoned as residential.
Oh,
So
wow.
we do allow, so that is one thing, but
Sorry.
no, I do agree with you on the second part that it does, that it is much larger than the 80,000 square feet, so.
Okay, thank you.
Looks like
we
we
lose him?
lost Robert again. Yeah,
Did we lose him again? Think so.
we did.
Who's frozen?
Okay. This is Neil. Yeah, I agree. It's probably smarter to, or more appropriate to accept the application. And thanks for clarifying, Bruce, that this was zoned residential, because that was my my question as well.
It's fine. Okay.
All right, I'm back.
Did you
Just
pay your
solve the
bill?
problem while I was away.
I think we have, Commissioner Kelsey has commented and, Commissioner Statson and Fox have all, commented, so.
Yeah, so we'd need a motion to either approve it as an exempt activity or to accept it.
I'll make a
I would
motion to accept the application. It's Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Is there a second?
I'll second it, Ned.
Thanks, Ned. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so the motion would carry and we'd roll it forward to our next meeting for further consideration. Bruce, I know you had teed up in the notes as to whether we would do a site walk this coming week or the first week of March. I'm not going to weigh in because I'm away both weekends.
That's only if you're interested, if you guys want to do the sidewalk, if you think it is warranted, so. I'll leave that up to you guys.
I'm very familiar with the stream, so I don't need it.
Did we lose the applicant? Oh, no, there's Scott.
No, we're good.
I thought we lost you for a second. I'm like, wait a minute.
No.
All right.
Can I ask the commission a question? If we are expecting a 4 to 5 inch rainstorm prior to you granting approval, is there any emergency work we can do to just place the riprap? Not that any's in the forecast, and I don't know what kind of time frame we're thinking. If this is just gonna be another couple weeks, I don't think there's anything big coming for a bit, but we are getting a little bit of rain on Friday. And again, the little rains are fine. I'm just worried if we get a 3 or 4 inch rain.
No.
Yeah,
Scott,
I would say
Yeah.
stay in touch with Bruce if there were, if we were having,
Okay,
storms like we had last year. We did have another situation along one of the recreational trails on the other end of town where the town did some emergency work to stabilize a public path. So it's, hopefully you don't have to worry about that. But if it comes up that we're having excessive rains and you're having a lot of erosion, Bruce, I'd say you can direct them on emergency work if it needs to be done.
no problem.
that's fair.
And Scott, the next meeting is March 6th, so it's only
Oh, perfect.
all right.
Fair enough. Okay.
Okay, so Ned, you said you didn't feel the need for a site walk. Maybe Dave.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with it, so I don't need it. Maybe,
Dave, interested in a site walk or not?
It's a pretty small project.
I'm good. I'm familiar with the area, so I don't need to.
Yeah, it's a no by Mark.
I wouldn't
I
mind
don't need a
going,
site
but,
visit.
but if nobody else wants to go, I'm happy with that too.
I mean, the pictures to me kind of represent the area. You can pretty much get an idea what work has to be done and how it's going to be done. So I'm not pushing for a site visit.
Okay, I'm not hearing any strong indicators, so maybe we won't do a site walk at this one. As I said, I'm out of state this weekend and next weekend, so it's not an option for me. Okay, Bruce, so I guess we'll take it up again on the 6th.
On the 6th, yes, sir.
Okay, Scott and Brian, thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you.
appreciate it.
And this will bring us down, Bruce, to item 3, the cease and desist order.
I have been in discussions with the town attorney. He has everything he needs. He's reviewing it, and then he's gonna get back to me. I was hoping we'd have something for the meeting, but he hasn't had a chance to finish it up, so we should have something for the next meeting on the 6th. Okay?
Thanks, Bruce.
And again, as usual, I contact the applicant every meeting. He gets an email, he gets an agenda, he gets a Zoom link. So he knows the meetings are happening, and I'm telling him if he needs to speak with the commission, please call in. So, and as you guys know, he has not called in since that point, so.
Mr.
Okay,
Chairman,
thanks,
can I have a
Bruce.
question about that? Driving by the other day, he has a storage container there and looks like some type of abandoned cars and stuff. Is that
Yeah.
something that we're gonna approach? Not just what happened down at the bottom, by the river, but I'm not too sure what he's storing in that container. And, the one car I can see looks like it's abandoned. So it's just, I don't think it's a good thing to have that residing there. I think maybe we're looking at the whole piece of property and not just the area that he disturbed.
Yes, the immediate concern right now, Commissioner, is that we get the wetlands address. That is on our list as items, but we have to take what we have to poke at the most important things first, and then as we get through, we'll kind of filter through on those.
That's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Bruce. So we'll take it up again on the 6th.
Mhm.
We can drop down to the
Excuse me,
elections.
Just, Mr. Chairman, if you get something like a letter or something from the attorneys, can you forward that
Oh,
out to us?
Definitely will. Yep, definitely will
Okay.
forward you as soon as we get anything. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll drop down to the elections of officers, which, as we all know, unfortunately, with the passing of Chairman Hannon, we have to work on filling his spot as the chairman. And I do have a conflict with my new employment, so it makes it difficult for me to step up. So we're looking at having pushes forward. Ned,
Yeah, well, let me just say that, so Robert and I had a talk last night, and I had, I had again said my piece about it. I think, somebody with environmental, experience is the best for his job as Bob was, but it's not necessary. If nobody else wants to be the chair, then I would be willing to do the chair. I have, good meeting experience. I was the chair of when I lived in New Britain, I was chair of the New Britain ZBA for 6 years. In New Britain, it's an appointed position, not an elected position. And I've also been a president of the state's P4 bargaining unit, representing engineers and technical people, and so I had to run meetings for that. So I'm not too worried about the meetings. I just I'm approaching 62, and I'm kind of looking to kind of do less. But if we want to show our respect to Bob Hannon, one of the it's nice to do proclamations, but I think one of the most important things is to continue the commission on, and meet the needs of the commission. And so I would be willing to be a president for the commission. Robert had said he would be willing to continue as vice chair. I did say to him that I would like to, at least for the remainder of this year, look at possibly switching a day on the second meeting of the month, allowing him to attend more frequently. So that's something that we can look into. I could, talk to Bruce and see what would be a day that would cause the least conflicts, and talk to our commission and see, what days are not good for people, and if we could find a better day. But I know people are used to the history of our first and third Wednesday, but for a year they can get used to a little different history if they have to come before us. So when we meet is when we meet. But so that would leave us is anybody looking or willing to serve as secretary?
This is Dave. That was well spoken, Ned. Thank you for stepping up. So I guess I'll step up for secretary.
Okay,
Great to hear, Dave.
very good. Thank you, David. Okay,
And
so
thank you, Ned.
my pleasure. So I guess we'll entertain a motion for Ned Stachin as chair, Robert Eisner as vice chair, and David Fox as secretary.
Yeah, this is Neil. I'll make that motion, and I appreciate all of you stepping up and filling this. And Ned, you said it right. The best tribute is to keep going forward and doing the best we can. So thank you for that.
Thanks so
This
much.
is Mark. I'll
Yeah.
second.
Okay,
This is
thank you,
Mark.
Mark.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
And just for the record, we'll just make sure everyone's aware that these are elections are good until November of this year, because I think we have to discuss it in October, and we vote in November. So, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and then Bruce, if you can just double check our bylaws and see if there's anything else that if, make sure that we've done this correctly, so we don't, particularly with things like the pending cease and desist order, we don't want to find ourselves on a challenge and not administratively
Oh, that's fine. No, understood.
complete our tasks.
Okay.
Okay, well, I appreciate you stepping up, Ned and Dave, as well.
Appreciate you continuing on.
I'm happy to do so. Bruce, is there a planner's report?
No, we don't have anything under the plans report.
Okay, we'll do the approval of the minutes for February 7th. Is there a motion to accept?
So move, Ned.
Is there a second?
Second, Mark.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion carries. So we'll adjourn at 7:34 and switch over to the Conservation Commission.
I'm thinking of changing my vote though. If you can get these meetings done in 34 minutes, Rob.
Yeah.
We didn't have anything on the
I wouldn't
agenda.
oppose it.
Okay, so we'll call the Conservation Commission meeting to order at 7:34. Any new business
No new business.
in
But I-
planners report?
Yes, I do have the planners report. I sent you guys an email. As mentioned, the Lower Farmington River Salmon Brook Wild and Scenic Management Committee is looking for reps. I know that Chairman Hannon used to be on that committee, so I sent out a roll. It kind of goes over what they do and what's expected of you in terms of the meetings. They usually want 2 people, but I mean, I know two may be hard from this committee, so if we get 1, that'd be great. We're still working on some other avenues for somebody else, so we're working on that, but something to think about. If anyone's interested tonight, let me know now. If not, we can talk about it next month. So just kind of something to think about. It's pretty much deals with everything that happens along the river. As you're aware, the Farmington River This has been deemed a wild and scenic area. So they kind of manage everything that goes on along there and do grants, work on things like that. Bob was working with them recently on repairing the handicapped fishing pier at the end of Railroad Avenue. So there's that old area that keeps getting washed out, and so they're looking to repair that. So they're working with all the groups to get that with funding, permitting, and things like that to get that repaired. So just kind of projects that they do work on. All right.
Bruce, are
Yeah.
they I mean, I think the best thing would maybe to look at relocating that, because if you got that small stream that comes in from Vine, and then the angle of attack of the river comes right at that area, I mean, maybe consider moving it downstream or upstream or somewhere.
Yeah, I haven't
That's like
been
one
much
of the worst
involved.
positions you could have picked for it.
Yeah, I know, I agree. And like I said, but the problem is it's one of the best positions in terms of access because it is a handicap access. So it is a very low grade to get
Yeah.
down there. So I'm not sure what they're looking, again, it's under the preliminary right now. They're just trying to look at the area, trying to figure out what their options are permitting wise and to go from there. So they'll definitely be back. And this is where they're working, where we're working in conjunction with them because that's right in the area that the town had to do that emergency repair of the embankment. So they're kind of
Okay.
working. So if anyone has any interest and wants to call me, please do. If not, I'll put you directly in touch with Amy Petrie from the Farmington River Watershed. You guys can talk directly with her. So just let me know if anyone's interested.
So it's a wonderful opportunity if anyone wants to jump at it tonight. Bruce, you may have to keep it on the agenda and just,
Yep. We'll keep,
What-
don't worry. I'll keep poking. I could do that.
yeah,
So,
or we could nominate Rich because he's not present. Okay, so we'll drop down to approval of the minutes for February 7th. Is there a motion to approve? Motion to approve the February 7th minutes.
Yeah,
So move, Mark.
Okay, I heard Dave move and Mark second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Okay, motion carries. And we will adjourn at 7:38.